From the weather team you can trust, here's Chief Meteorologist Eric Sneidel.
Well, you know, we haven't had a steady soaking rain in a couple of days, so given how 2026 has gone, I suppose from that vantage point, we are due. There it is. Steady soaking rain falling tonight. It's going to keep on doing it all night long. Temps have come down a lot since this afternoon, and there's a good reason for that. Part of why we have rain is because we've got a cold front draped across the area. That front has nudged just east and southeast of Rochester, so we've gone from mid-60s now down to the upper 40s. These numbers aren't going to move a ton. We'll probably lose at least a few more degrees here, but that's really going to end up being it. The soaker through the morning will net us anywhere between half an inch on the low end, probably folks on the west side, and then as high as an inch and a half, especially on the southeast side, into the Finger Lakes. And I know, and many of you know, especially if you live right along Lake Ontario, our elevated water levels are a thing. And getting another inch average of rainfall, all that water's got to go somewhere. It's not going to cause any of our lakes to just suddenly jump up into catastrophic flooding territory, no. But what it is going to do is keep a very slow rise going, especially on Lake Ontario, and that could last for the next couple of weeks here. Then after that, for the rest of this week, the weather focus becomes less rainfall and more a touch too chilly around here into the nights and the mornings, and that could spit out some additional frost potential, mainly south of Rochester. Speaking of mainly south of Rochester, that's where most of the more appreciable rainfall is. As we speak, the rain, which was light for the last 15 minutes, is now picking back up. That's a good moderate rain. And some of these little yellow echoes here, narrow corridors of more bursts of heavier stuff. We do have some heavier stuff. That's why we think some of the heaviest rain is going to end up being into the Finger Lakes, in no small part because of that reality. But farther west and southwest we go, this would be fine if the front itself was making more progress east. It is, it's just painfully slow. So we're going to have to get through all of this before we finally get in on the backside, which is going to take probably late morning, I think, into our Wednesday, which means you should anticipate a wet commute, especially if you're going eastward into where that rain is lingering. Westward, you may drive into some drier hours if you're a late go tomorrow. By the afternoon, expect just mostly cloudy skies. Highs will be around 50 degrees. As the skies try to clear out into Thursday morning, where they do south of the Thruway, numbers getting close enough for some frosty territory there. Friday morning probably does that as well. Forecast rainfall amounts here throughout that process. You see what I mean? Half an inch to an inch and a half still seems logical here. Then we get to head into our weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend. Saturday could have a couple of rain showers, but here's where we start to watch for Sunday, which is Mother's Day. There's many pathways here, and we're still 5 days away, so a lot of things are still going to change. But the one thing I will acknowledge is we look at the multitude of computer models, even though there's a wide variance, collectively as an aggregate, I would argue the overall chance for rain has gone up. So that's what I've done. We've taken the chance of rain on Sunday up to 60%. I keep the wording in there scattered. I don't think right now it's a slam dunk that this is a washout of a Sunday. In fact, I'm hopeful it's not. But if you got outdoor mothers plans, we probably want to be watching in the days ahead.